This testing.
It's working.
I don't see my picture up there.
We can see it. Ease. All right, Commissioner, it's 11:03. We're ready to begin. I
don't believe time is 11:04. I don't know who's going to be present, but Mr. Bruce Adam and I are aboard. So is Mr. McDonald. And I believe Carol Daly is also be on board. So with that, we'll go ahead and I just got a print from of the agenda. So.
Oh my goodness! Hi.
We'll follow that. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and give the floor to Mr. McDonald.
Okay. Let's see, Commissioner, on your agenda today, if you want, I can read that in. So you guys can make a motion to accept the agenda. So on the consent agenda items, all we have is the meeting minutes and the check registers. Under item number 4, the recognitions, presentations, and informational items. Got an update from the county seat, TV programming and marketing. Chad should be on. We'll turn the time to Chad for that with county seat. Got rural co-working and Innovation Center grant letters of support for your approval. I'll present that.
It should go through me right now because everything is going to be virtual.
Hold on just a second. Let me see if, make sure everybody's on mute.
Okay.
Item 3 on there is the Muley Point access and proposal of a visitor use project and possible formal dismissal of the complaint of RSation on that, as well as the Falls Crossing concessionaire services update. The next item on there is a Clark Market thank you letter. This will be presented from Linda, our EMS director. Under item 5, business action, you've got a consideration of a purchase agreement with APCO Institute for Training and Certification Software for 911. This will be Marcia with the Sheriff's Office. Got consideration of a purchase agreement with Motorola Solutions and Telecom, Filman interface with 911 dispatch.
Yes.
And then the next item, you've got consideration of a contract between San Juan County Public Health Department for political contract. Fiscal year on to San Juan County Public Health Department for home.
She used to work at restaurant.
And then we've got consideration of contract between San Juan County Public Health Department and the WIC program. For the WIC program, this will be Kirk as well. Consideration of contract between San Juan County Public Health Department for 2020-2021 nursing home visiting. That'll be presented by Kirk. Item G, you've got consideration and approval of a cooperative agency agreement with San Juan County and the Aeronautical Operations Division of the State of Utah, Utah Department of Transportation. This is for the Falls Crossing Airport. I'll present that. We'll consider that one. Got the subdivision for approval. It will be presented by Scott Burton, our building department official. For Flatiron Nexa Ranch, phase 25. Item J, you've got a public hearing to solicit public comments for mid-year adjustments for the 2012 fund and related budgets. The next one, item L, you've got a public hearing again to consider proposed revisions to the San Juan County Spanish Valley zoning map as approved by the Board of San Juan County Commissioners on November 19th, 2019. And you've got consideration for approval of proposed revisions to the San Juan County Spanish Valley zoning map as approved by the Board of San Juan County Commissioners That'll be presented by Walter. LaSalle to vacate a portion of Lane, and then item hotel also is by LaSalle, or by Walter Bird, sorry. And then item is your agenda.
That'll be, I don't have any question, but the motion would be, any other comments or question? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? There being none, motion carries. We go to the number one item on the agenda. Any volunteer? There's 4 of you.
I'll say the invocation.
Thank you, Bruce. Appreciate it.
Father in heaven, as we come before thee as county commissioners and public staff members, we ask thee to bless us that our meeting will be civil and we'll be able to discuss the items that are of most importance to our county. We're grateful for all of those who are serving as volunteers and helping with the pandemic. We ask you to bless and protect them. Bless all those who are in danger or in harm's way, that they'll be protected. We're grateful for the freedoms that we enjoy. We're grateful for the land that we live in. We're grateful for the leadership we have in our state and in our nation. We ask you to bless them, that they'll have that guiding influence. We're grateful for all of our county employees. We ask you to protect and be with them. These things we pray for in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you. We'll go to next public hearing.
Okay, so the next on the public comments, just as a reminder, if there's people here that are wanting to make public comments during the public hearing for those specific items. Just as a reminder, keep your comments to 3 minutes. This will apply throughout the whole entire meeting. So if there's anybody wanting to make a public comment at this time, unmute yourself and I'll watch for that to take place. So we've got Carolyn, are you wishing to make a public comment right now?
Yes, I would just like to request that we have a moment of silence for Kenneth Maryboy and his family and all people on the in San Juan County and on the Navajo Reservation that have had deaths from the coronavirus. I think that would be appropriate if you feel so as well. Commissioner Gray Eyes.
So be it.
Okay, is there anybody next wanting to make a public comment?
There being none, all those go on to the next agenda item, consent agenda.
Okay, on the consent agenda today, all you have is the meeting minutes and check registers today for your approval.
I'll make a motion, we approve the items on the consent agenda.
Okay, I'll go ahead and second with a question. On the item whereby Mr. Nick Sandberg presented a what was that? BLM and his recommendation to partner with San Juan County. Is it the San Juan County Commission? How is that partnership going to be recognized? That was the question I raised after reviewing what was. Hopefully, that's not the intent. Is to draw the San Juan County Commission into a partnership with the idea of having to finance a certain portion of the undertaking. Is there an explanation to that in the minutes?
So in here, I've got him as 3 items. He had the Canyon Deer Flat Abandoned Mine Project.
Yes.
Is it that one that you're referring to?
The next one, I believe.
The December oil and gas lease sale?
Yes.
Consulting party?
Right.
So in here is we would just be a consulting party, the BLM. All we are is just consulting. It's just a consulting on here. All of the parcels he mentioned were located west, southwest, and south of Landing, but there's no funding commitment or anything that we have.
Okay.
It's more just we'll be notified as a consulting party and working with them through that process. They'll always touch base with us. But other than that, there's no funding that is required to come out of San Juan County's pockets. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Does the BLM have the same idea? Okay.
And Willie, we're not the only consulting.
Okay. Like the Indian tribes?
Yeah, if the Navajo Nation they wanted to consult more with the tribes, and so they've been really good lately from what I've seen with consulting with the tribes on their cells.
As I understand that one, they couldn't consult with the White Mesa table for some time.
Yeah, I'd seen that letter come out, that same one that you're referring to.
Yeah. Okay. That was my only concern.
Okay.
With that, any other comments or regarding, we'll go in to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye to nay. There being none, so 2 in favor, no opposed. Motion carries. Next is recognition, presentation, and information item. Mr. McDonald.
Okay, this first one is Chad Booth will give us an update on the county TV programming and marketing. Chad, are you there? Can you hear? Chad sent me an email.
Okay.
There was no link on there. Let me check. Link on there was in his signature line. It's Hey, Chad, are you there? We might have to go to the next item.
Okay. Go to the next item then, rural co-working and
So this is a support letter for a grant, a rural co-working and innovation center grant that we're applying for through the Governor's Office of Economic Development. They've got funding that's available to assist kind of rural areas. What we'd like to apply this funding for is for co-working space. We'd like to convert space in the Monticello Library basement, add a little room down there that's in space that's currently being unused. With that, we'll be able to put a keyless access on the door so that people that are traveling through that need office space, that they can rent this office space and have access to that space for 12 hours a day. They'll be able to go in and access the internet, printer, things like that. With COVID, you see a lot of people nowadays traveling who they no longer can go into their offices to work. And so as they travel, they meet in these areas that have available internet kind of access points that they can stop along the way and kind of access information. And so we'd like to set up a room for that, kind of help with library services as well as just community at large connectivity. This would require a 25% match on the cost of construction or furnishings or just in kind labor as well. And so what we would do is go in, if we're awarded the grant funds, we'll go in and build a room, furnish it, add the technology to it, and then we could then start to rent it out or offer it to citizens traveling for free. We'll kind of work on that structure a little bit later, but this support letter is just to get us into the application process. Any questions with that?
motion would be in order first.
Motion to approve.
Second. Any question? No response, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. So 2 in favor, 0 opposed. Motion passed. Next is Muley Point.
Okay, Muley Point is going to be presented by William Shaw. I don't know if William's on.
Yes, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Yes, this is William Schott, also known as Billy Schott. Great, may I take the floor?
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Great, well, thank you very much. Again, my name is Billy Schott. I'm the superintendent of Glen Canyon National Recreation Area and Rainbow Bridge National Monument. I want to thank everyone here today for allowing us to get 2 agenda items in front of you today. One of them is on our concessions operations and different options. And I hope to leave enough time at the end of both of these presentations for any questions and answers that might come up. As your agenda title has indicated, this has to do with Muley Point, but then also specifically an ask that I'll present to you today, and maybe would be presented as a motion for your commission, but that would be for San Juan County to consider, not expecting a decision on the specific topic today, but to consider formally abandoning their claim for a portion of the road located up at Muley Point, and then making an amendment to the San Juan County complaint regarding RS 2477. So let me provide the context to that ask. It was a little over a year ago, the National Park Service was approached by a donor that was interested in helping us fund a visitor use project at Muley Point. And why is that important to us, and why we think it might be important to San Juan County? As folks may or may not be very familiar with Muley Point, just a quick reminder, it's the easternmost point of the National Recreation Area along the San Juan Gooseneck State Park, 95 or 191, approximately 18 miles from Mexican Hat, and approximately 84 miles east of Hall's Crossing. And for those that are familiar with what's on Bears Ears, this area, we have sustained increasing numbers of visitation. It's been a relatively quiet spot for the park and easy to manage over the past several decades. But over the last few years, we've experienced a lot more visitation, and along with that, the resource damage that comes along with it. If you're not familiar with it, it is just a sensational resource with world-class views, and along with, as I mentioned before, its popularity, we've started to see the resource damage associated with it. Not terribly different than what we've experienced with Horseshoe Bend, located near the park headquarters. We've learned that without getting ahead of that curve of visitation on world-class destinations like this, it just makes it more and more difficult to manage not just the people, but the resource damage. So we're very interested in working with this donor. Some of the components of the project that they'd like to finance or assist in partial financing include some designated parking, both a single track multi-use trail, which would be built and open for, of course, hiking, but also livestock and mountain bikes. In addition to an accessible trail, there's also a potential component of a primitive campground and the potential component of an RV campground. And regardless of which components of those may or may not be included in the project, there would be a significant amount of restoration to occur just to maintain its pristine value that we've got there in the park. I want to emphasize that those components are a maybe. We have made no agreements and obviously no decisions with the donor over what this would look like. We've been given, and I've shared with you today, some very rough conceptual plans that shows some of the potential for the area. But I just want to emphasize that none of that's been agreed. And of course, for the National Park Service to go forward with any sort of project like this, and so that's the feedback that we would, that's the form in which we would get the feedback from both you as a cooperating agency and then all of your constituents as well. I bring that up specifically because I know there may be some concerns about some of those components. I've learned that some of the constituents in San Juan County may not think that a RV campground is popular. So I just want to add that's an option, but I do have some other ideas just to share, and it'll be a good segue. You could design it to meet both National Park Service standards as well as the aesthetics that the donor has presented to us. And one of those aesthetics is being able to preserve the view shed, not only of the view that you have from the Muley Point area, but also of the area itself. And so one of the specific topics that has come up in our conversation by the donor is the willingness of the National Park Service to design and build a project. That's the nexus to RS 2477. There's one road that as you leave Highway 261, it's approximately 5 miles from the top of the Moki Dugway out to the Muley Point Road. And the county and its constituents to consider is if we were able to have an agreement to abandon a claim for not all of, but a portion of that road. it would give our donor the comfort to move forward with the potential donation of the funds and the construction side. I would proffer to the commission that this could be a world-class destination and add considerably to the economic development in the county and really become a draw. So I would look to partner with the county on that endeavor area. If, in fact, there's this lingering risk that in some point in the future, vehicle traffic could be increased somehow on that particular road, what I would proffer and what I would guarantee moving forward is we're not interested in decreasing access by any means, but only increasing it and opening it up to a larger some of the options that we've got for the site.
This is Gray Eyes. What are the red spot triangle light on your map there?
All right, could you repeat the question? I'm not sure I understand.
The red spots on your map.
Yes.
What does that reference?
Well, let's see. If we're looking at the larger map that is labeled Muley Point proposed conditions, those have 3 large triangles. This is a conceptual drawing that we've received from the donor, just as something to talk about. Those the larger red triangles simply identify some of the existing and potential overlooks that exist up at that site. So the larger one called False Muley Point, that's probably the most visited area and at this portion of the park, only because the road that comes in from 261 makes an abrupt turn there. That's where most people go. I think it's fairly common knowledge for folks that visit it that's False Muley Point. However, any visitor that may be going there for the first time probably mistakes that for the Muley Point. The other red triangles are also popular overlooks, and those are both potential sites that are scattered throughout sites, which are causing us a number of resource concerns. We and our friends are continually having to clean up fire rings, trash, and human waste from those locations. On the proposed conditions map camping I referenced earlier.
Boy, it's just a presentation, right?
That's right. I understand there's probably the commission probably needs more time to consider and balance the benefits, the pros and cons of abandoning a claim in RS 477 for the last portion of the Muley Point Road and measure that against what could be gained. Experiencing today that we could potentially experience in the future. My only ask today is I would like to be able to tell my donor and my staff whether or not we should continue efforts on figuring out how to develop this, or if it's a non-start. And I'm fine with either answer, Commissioner. I would just like to know if it's worth our effort to go forward. If you believe it is, if you think there's a chance that the county would consider amending the current complaint that they have for a small portion of that road, what I would proffer to you is I would give you a formal request and at that point be able to answer any and all questions you had about the project.
Commissioner Grayhouse, I'd like to make a comment. Commissioner Grayeyes?
I don't think he's here. I'm not seeing him.
It looks like he put the map on his computer screen and then got disconnected from the meeting.
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't have him here right now. Let's give it a second. He'll probably pop back on. Be just a second, everyone.
Well, the Park Service stands by, but I'm sitting on pins and needles regarding the comment, but I know we need to wait for the chair.
Yeah, we do. We've lost the quorum where we were down to 2.
Okay.
So hold on just a second.
This is Manette Clark. I'd like to just ask if the superintendent could point out that road on the map that you're asking that be abandoned, part of it.
Yes, thank you. I'm not sure who asked that question, but I'll do my best. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, ma'am, probably the best way to identify it, if you go to the Muley Point existing condition map. Are you with me?
I'm following you. Go ahead.
Okay.
I've got the map.
The road that is in question today is the one that's identified as a primary road with the yellow highlight. If you're looking at a copy that may not be colored, it's the one that comes in from the north, and it's called Muley Point Road. It comes in from the south. It goes through our shaded area, makes a teardrop loop, and then heads back north before heading back south again to Muley Point. So that's the road in question. If you were to travel that road from where it entered the National Park Service boundary after leaving the BLM boundary and took it to its terminus at Muley Point itself, that's about 1.8 miles. I would ask the commission and the county constituents to consider is approximately the last half of that, so probably less than a mile from where it probably starts to turn south again. The definitions of where the county would like to consider that amendment to the complaint was obviously something that we would discuss and have clearly identified, but I do understand that there may be interest in the county keeping their claim for the entrance into the National Park Service, and I wouldn't suggest going beyond that. So it would be for the last portion as we came to terms with that. Does that answer your? Is that clear on the map? And does it answer your question?
Yeah, I was following along with it. It seems pretty easy on the map.
Okay.
Well, thank you. I'll study that. Thank you.
Yeah, and so one of the considerations, and I hate to even bring it up because this is all sure, haven't conducted any of the compliance. The alternative is analyzed is to use a portion of that road toward the end for that accessible trail, whether it's ADA accessible, that links up with the larger platform. For those that are familiar with Horseshoe Bend, they have visited it themselves. You're aware of that trail that goes back. It's ADA accessible, keeps a minimum grade, and it provides a viewing platform at its end, which I think is both meets NPS standards for supporting a site like this. I think it also meets the aesthetic standards that our donor is interested in.
I'm on the phone now.
Okay.
I lost my
The connection.
anyway. Any other question?
Yes, I'd like to make a comment.
Yes, Mr. Adam.
First of all, I'm really concerned that the donor is insisting on abandoning our RS 2477 claim. Is that
The owner is aware of the statewide RS 2477 issue and claims, both by counties and the state. And especially where we are.
Can you hear me, Bill?
I'm sorry.
How's that? I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, you were breaking up there a little on the explanation of why they were.
I'll start over. It's a brief explanation.
Okay.
To answer Commissioner Adams' question, and I'll try to be very succinct, is not the donor's demand or request, but it is a concern. And I would like to, this investor could potentially invest a significant amount of money while the risk of having this administrative, how do I best state it? I guess I'll just be blunt that at some point the county in the future public scoping were to identify, let's say, this road as an adjacent part of a trail, part of an accessible trail, part of an administrative use road. If that were to change the plans, I think you would agree if you were putting up a significant amount of money for a project, that would be a concern that you would want to quell prior to making that type of investment.
Well, I'll be real frank with you. It's a County B road. It's a road that we claim as a County B road. And I am personally not in favor of abandoning a B road or an RS 2477 road. I understand that the donor wants to invest a lot of money. The other concerns that I have is that we had a similar project, and I spoke to you on the phone about this. We had a similar project from state parks down at Goosenecks, and there was a lot of concern from the public in Blanding, Bluff, and Mexican Hat about diverting camping people that wanted to camp out of those for fee campgrounds in those communities out to Goosenecks, and this would be probably a similar concern. So I would ask you to reach out to those three communities and get input from them before you move a lot further with a decision on what you want to do, because we certainly got a lot of feedback from them when we were considering something at Goosenecks.
No, may I comment on that, Commissioner?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I appreciate that. And certainly our compliance process with the public scoping would actively seek those type of comments from the public. And I appreciate you making aware of that. So the road being a different issue, the campground, I think this project would do a couple different things. And I think there are a few different options that we could explore. One, there is significant amount of camping at large at this site already that is free and causing quite a bit of resource damage for the National Park Service out there. The Park Service would like to manage that. In fact, we have an obligation to do so. And so we could potentially go forward. We could absolutely go forward with the project and not include an RV campground. If that's where the public comments led us, that's where we would go. And it would surely displace a lot of campers. And my guess is those campers will be looking for somewhere else to go. whether that's in an RV campsite in Bluff, in Mexican Hat, or somewhere else that's not as tenable. The other option that I wanted to bring up, and this is a great segue for our next presentation, is by doing that, it puts not only folks on the ground that are responsible for the area and work in concert with the land manager, in this case, the National Park Service, but it also offers a business opportunity either for someone who's just getting into the RV campground business, or potentially even better for someone that already is running one of those RV businesses and would like to augment it by managing it off-site. So those are also options that we could look at, and I'm personally preferential to a model of supporting business that helps the agency. But again, Commissioner, we would go through a comment period with your constituents to gather those comments. At this point, we don't have compliance started. We can talk pretty candidly over what we think might be beneficial. Once we start in the compliance process, then it's all through the comments. I certainly appreciate the potential and the unwillingness of abandoning a claim for a short section of road, regardless of whether it's a thoroughfare or not. And that's a decision that I would like to get from the county. Just if that's the case, then we'll move on. It's the answer that I'm needing to get either way, just so that I can speak candidly with our donor and either continue to move forward or stop wasting our resources trying to figure out how to get it done. So I appreciate you being so candid, and love to hear more comments.
Well, I'd really like to get an opinion from our county attorney on the request to abandon that road, and maybe even from the Attorney General's office, because they've included that road in that RS2 legal parties. And I appreciate you being willing to reach out to those other communities. I will tell you that the dispersed camping issue on Muley Point is very similar to the dispersed camping issue at Goosenecks, and that's why the state parks people, and they wanted to put bike. I don't want you to get caught in that same trap.
Absolutely, and again, I appreciate that, and I do think we've got options for your constituents to consider, and that's where I'd like to get. I understand that there'll be no decision made today regarding Clipco office as well. I do understand that there's precedence for abandoning portions of roads, and that in those examples, it doesn't weaken the legal case for any other roads, but it's all very specific. So, but we'll go forward as you see fit in exploring that.
Well, my recommendation is that you create an option with the abandonment and an option without the abandonment.
Commissioner, I can tell you what the option is without the abandonment is that we won't have a donor. The national park, just as you mentioned, the issues with dispersed camping that the state park was experiencing, that's exactly the issue that we're experiencing. We will be addressing the public use issues that we're experiencing at Muley Point in the future. That will mean closing and rehabilitating these historic areas where folks have been camping dispersed. It'll be also looking at where much of the off-roading has been occurring up there and engineering solutions to prevent that from occurring. What I would like to do is, in conjunction with applying those types of engineering solutions, is to find a way to improve the visitor experience up there at the same time. It's really difficult for me as a land manager and the National Park Service to simply try to go in and manage human behavior on these sites to meet our mission mandates. It's much more fun, and I find much more successful with our partners if we're able to do that in conjunction with making improvements. And personally, that's why I'm excited about working with this particular donor, because it gives us an opportunity to do that, but also to do it relatively quickly, where sometimes it's difficult for us to find a funding source to make these type of improvements.
Mr. Shucks, Gray Eyes again.
Yes.
By any chance, this is your boundary or your project is covering the original boundary of the Bears Ears National Park, National Monument.
I'm so sorry, Commissioner. I'm just having a little difficult time capturing the question. Could you ask me one more time, please?
By any chance, the boundary of the original Bears Ears National Monument covers part of your proposed project?
Got it. Understood. I believe the question is, does any of our projects incorporate any of the original portions of the Bears Ears National Monument? And the answer is no. The proposed project that we're looking at is exclusively within the Glen Canyon National Recreation Area, in which its boundaries haven't changed.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Any further questions? I believe that's just an update report. Is that my understanding, Mr. McDonald?
That is correct. That was for your information.
No action needed. Yeah.
No.
Okay. We'll go on to the next B, Hall Crossing concessionary service update. Bill, go ahead.
Yep. Very, very good. So we'll move on to the next topic, and I will circle back with the commission on the remaining questions. But I'd like to introduce our Chief of Concessions, Heidi Grigg. Heidi, are you on?
Yes, I'm on. Hello?
Connect me back to.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. Okay, great. Yeah, so I was just going to give you an update on the Halls Crossing concession contract. So I just wanted to let you know that the current contract at Bullfrog Halls Crossing was issued to Airmark in 1988 and expired at the end of 2007. Since then, it's been operating on annual letters of extension on the concession contract. In the last 5 years, Airmark has 15 projects completed or in process in the Halls Crossing location, totaling almost $5 million. These include the marina store completion, fuel line replacements, improvement of lift station, dorm roof replacement, electrical upgrade, North Lake breakwater and wave break system, along with some other projects. So these are large projects that have been completed or are being worked on. And regarding new business opportunities for Halls Crossing, there are 2 points that I would like to mention. The first point is the prospectus for this concession contract is estimated to be focused on in earlier than 5 years. So we won't be able to actually work on this concession contract until about 5 years. The park and the Park Service have to look at the program as a whole and work through priorities to determine which contracts to work on next. So I can explain that a little bit more. At Glen Canyon, we have several new law contracts, which are concession contracts issued under the 1998 concession law, and then several old law contracts, concession contracts issued under the 1965 concession law. And so new law contracts can only be extended for up to 3 years, which we have several of those. And then the old law contracts can be extended indefinitely, which is Bullfrog and Halls Crossing is one of those that we have at Glen Canyon. And currently there's a moratorium on prospectuses, which pushes the time frame back to get these contracts out. So the old law contracts incur possessory interest, and then the new law contracts incur leasehold surrender interest, which is interest accrued on the amount that was expended by the concessioner for improvements within the land assignment. So you can imagine that that's a large amount for this contract, which must be paid down to a reasonable amount before the new contract could be considered financially feasible business opportunity. And so before the prospectus for this contract is put up for bids, we'll be trying a new approach, putting a request for comments on the contract, engaging in public scoping before heading into a new prospectus, and then we'll look for feedback on the new contract opportunities. And before we can determine if Halls Crossing portion of the existing contract to be broken out in a new contract separately, we must conduct a financial analysis of the business opportunity. So the financial viability process is conducted in our region and Washington office, and then that will determine what can and can't happen at Halls Crossing. So I would like to talk with you a little bit about the prospectus procedures, if you would like. That sounds good to you? Just for a second here.
Yes.
Okay. So after the prospectus is out for bid, businesses submit their proposals. And then these business proposals are reviewed by a subject matter expert panel that determines which business proposal responded most closely to what the park required in the prospectus. So just so you know, this panel doesn't include a park employee as a voting member. So park employees do not help to decide which business proposal is offered the contract opportunity. And then, of course, a small business would be a great situation for this location. That's what we believe, but we'll just have to wait and see what can be worked out on that. And we will be putting out an opportunity for your feedback on the National Park Service public website at sam.gov. And we want to be inclusive so that anyone that is interested can apply for the business opportunities in the park. And you can also take a look at the Park Service Concessions public website to see more information on this process and see examples of prospectuses that are currently out there. If you look at www.nps.gov/subjects/concessions, or you can even just Google National Park Service concessions, and you should be able to find it that way too. Then the second point I would like to mention is the Park Service has proposed revisions to regulations that govern the solicitation, award, and administration of concession contracts to provide commercial visitor services at National Park Service units. The proposed changes would reduce administrative burdens and expand sustainable, high quality, and contemporary concessioner provided visitor services in national parks. And the information on this is in your packet. So if you go to the page that has the Glen Canyon Commercial Services map, and then right after that, we have the Federal Register. And so we encourage you to read and submit your comments on these proposed changes to these regulations. The Park Service concludes that the potential impact on small concessioners is likely to be positive with this update. The Park Service estimates that the majority, 96% of the entities that have concession contracts are small businesses, and that this makeup is likely to be similar in the future. And while the Park Service lacks the ability to quantify the impact, the Park Service found that the impacts are likely to be beneficial to concessioners in general. So without any particular bias towards small or large business. And so we encourage you to read and submit comments on this proposed regulation change. So that's all I have. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I've got some questions.
Okay.
This is Commissioner Adams.
Hi.
Back in the late 60s and early 70s, I was in high school, and I would drive on a dirt gravel road from Blanding out to Hall's Crossing to work for the people that were trying to establish the Hall's Crossing area as a destination point for people in southeastern Utah and in western Colorado. And over the years, I have noticed that business seems to be moving from Hall's Crossing over to Bullfrog. I think that's detrimental to San Juan County because of the sales tax and other goods that can be provided by San Juan County businesses to the Hall's Crossing area. I know there used to be mechanics there. There used to be areas that you could get your boats worked on and fixed. If I'm not mistaken, I think the present concessionaire was required to upgrade the housing for the employees at Hall's Crossing, which I'm not sure that has actually happened. But I just want you to know that as county commissioners, we're not extremely happy with the concessionaire and what they're doing at Hall's Crossing. I know the new store and some of the upgrades to electrical and plumbing and those kind of things have been great. But it seems to me like there could be more effort put into providing the expectations of the visitors at Hall's Crossing compared to what the expectations are at Bullfrog. There's been a lot of trouble with the ferry, getting cars across. I know that's not your responsibility. That's UDOT. We're not real happy that the ferry's not running, but I certainly hope that you will take serious the comments that San Juan County makes on what we would like to see happening at Hall's Crossing, similar to what's been happening at Bullfrog. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Commissioner Adams. We definitely will take serious comments, and we will be looking into the effort put into expectations of visitors at Hall's Crossing. So I just want you to know that we are hearing you. And there was work done on the ER Recreational Center remodel and the dorm roof replacement, but I'm sure that there's more work to do. So we are listening to you, and we will follow up.
Well, there's definitely some real economic opportunity at Hall's Crossing, and now that San Juan County owns the land around the Cal Black Airport, we hope to be expanding what we can offer even as a county to the visitors down at Hall's Crossing. It's a wonderful asset for the county and for everybody to have Lake Powell there. And I know that you probably try to do your best to make that experience for the visitors a wonderful experience. And we would like to get that experience, the Hall's Crossing experience for the people of San Juan County.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, and if you have specific recommendations too, you can always let us know so we can consider them.
We will. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So anyone else? So I think that's all I have for now.
That was it. Commissioner Griaz. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner, those were both just informational items.
Okay. Since there's no other comments, then we go down to E.
Okay, item E is the Clark Market thank you letter. Linda should be on here. Go ahead, take it away, Linda.
I'm here. So, good morning, commissioners. Good morning, Mr. McDonald. I'm here just presenting a letter for Clark's Market. I would like to publicly thank them for a donation that they gave us for roughly $2,800. And I just wanted to publicly thank them for the generosity that they had in honoring their first responders that cover their area. And I can answer any questions if you have any.
Is this just a report, or you need an action, or?
No, the thank you letter for them. It'll come from the commission on behalf of the entire county, but more pointedly for the emergency medical services and the donations that were received from them, from the citizens of the county.
Okay. Then it would need a motion then, huh?
Correct.
Accepting and approving. Who signs the letter?
All of these will have to be signed by you today, so I'll send them later to you.
Okay. That would be accepting donation from the Clark's Market, and also selecting the chair to sign the letter of appreciation.
Correct. Yeah. So it's $2,867.44 that they were donated.
Okay.
Especially during this time, that's pretty awesome.
I would go ahead and motion that.
Okay, I'll second it with a comment.
Go ahead and Mr. Mack, provide an explanation.
I would just like to compliment Linda on the work she does, and sincerely thank Clark's Market for the effort that they made to try and raise this money to donate to our emergency medical services agency. I think it's an outstanding effort and really appreciate it. Thanks, Linda.
Thank you, Bruce.
Okay. If there's no more comment, call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. There being none, although the issue has passed. With that, going on to the next item.
Okay, we still have the one that we skipped was the update from the county seat, TV programming and marketing. Chad Booth is on now. We're finally able to get him logged into the system, so I'd like to turn the time over to Mr. Booth.
Mr. Booth, you're on.
Do you hear us, Chad? I can see him. And you're unmuted. Let's see, you're muted. There you go. Can you hear us, Chad? Okay, we can't hear you. So it looks like you're unmuted now, so No, still can't hear you. I think it should work. That's your body, his body language is saying, okay, it should be working, but it's not working. So, okay, do you want to call in real fast? Okay.
Hey, Zach. Oh,
yeah.
This is Carolyn. I know on our end here, you can't just unmute where it has your little picture. You have to go to the bottom of the screen to unmute. It's confusing.
He's unmuted.
You think you're unmuting yourself and you're not. You have to go to the bottom bar to the mute button there where it has the camera and the mute. So he wasn't finding the right spot.
Thanks for that.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, you're fine. He's been unmuted. It's showing that he's unmuted. We just can't hear him. He's calling in on his phone call. So let me see.
No, it went to directly to
Okay, Chad, can you hear us?
Okay, is that better?
I can hear you, yes. Yeah, perfect.
Can you see me?
I can see you as well.
All right, very good. Well, so much for the computer. Now we're doing this by phone. So, Commissioner Gray Eyes, Commissioner Adams, Mac, thank you very much for giving us the time. I see that I have bad headroom. A TV guy, this is a problem. So I'll practice a shot a little bit better. We wanted to take the opportunity just to kind of review the year of county seat very briefly and some of the things that we've accomplished. We wanted to thank you for your support and give you an update on where we stand for the coming year. The county seat is a very important part of communicating, not within the county as much as it is taking issues of rural counties in Utah and getting them exposed regionally and with federal offices and state offices across the state. And in that audience, we have a very active audience. It would be a majority of the state legislature and the Senate watch the program regularly, including the lieutenant governor, the governor. I know the new state director for the BLM, even when he was in Washington, was staying abreast of issues through our county seat on social media. So we have averaged about 84,000 viewers a week, which is not huge in the state's audience, but they're the right people that are watching. They are the community leaders. They're the people who own businesses. They're the people who show up at meetings. They are the people that have an interest in rural communities and those who have to interface with them on the Wasatch Front. So we would like to be able to continue. We rebroadcast in most portions of the state on cable access channels, broadcast station KTTA and Southern Utah Live, which is on one of the sub-channels of KCSG out of St. George, also rebroadcast our program multiple times per week. And then, of course, we have it on social media, and we'll usually get an engagement of 3,000 to 4,000 additional people through our social media reach on Facebook, and our YouTube channel crossed the 1 million view mark this year for content on the county seat page. So we think that we're hitting the right people. We've had opportunities to talk about a few issues that are important to San Juan County in the past year, one of them being talking about Spanish Valley and development there. We were also able to deal with the issue of buses and roads on the reservation, and I thought we were able to do a pretty good job. And we got really good response from that particular episode. And we just recently had Commissioner Adams on an issue just a couple of weeks ago. So we do appreciate and want to work with the counties. My one comment or critique is that I think counties sometimes think, well, why should I bother them? They won't come anyway. But we're sitting here in our office trying to identify the most important issues to counties. And if nobody tells us about it, then we have to guess, and we try and poll people as best we can. But the best way to get every penny's worth out of your support for county seat is to just call us and talk to us. We don't care what size the county is, we look at trying to get the issues that counties need to talk about discussed. And so if you've got something, we really would appreciate you or your representatives or your county manager or any of you commissioners directly, call us and talk to us about it. And let's see what we can do. I'd like to see 6 episodes that are issues that are important to San Juan County instead of 3 during the course of a year. And that's just a matter of us having a better stream of communication. We are providing a little bit more service, particularly targeted in the area that we have great connection with most of the local and regional media in the state. And we've been compiling a distribution channel to quickly identify an area of people you want to reach and who the media leaders are in both social channels and in traditional, print and radio media. And we can literally take a message from you and turn it around in a very short period of time, like half an hour or so, get it approved by you and turn around and send it out on your behalf to these local medias. And that provides lots of opportunities to, one, sometimes get a third-party voice distributing your message, and 2, to help you with your busy task schedules. So we're very excited to be offering that in our coming season. And then finally, the last question is that we've had to cover a lot of the expense of this show the last 2 years ourselves. We tallied it up, and I diverted earnings from other projects that were upwards of $175,000, which should be going to our company bottom line, but we keep plowing it into the county seat because we believe it is that important. And we would be hoping that we could, as you have at that level, I have asked counties who have been slacking off the last couple of years to really ante up and join the chorus this year. And we need every penny that we can get. And I've got a game plan, and I've asked every county to participate in that game plan to get to where we need to be. With that, any comments or questions from the commission or anybody else that would like to know anything? I'm open for questions at this point.
I just want to thank you, Chad, for changing up the ad on San Juan County. You've done that several times since you've been a member, and I think it's been real effective. I like the ads that you your county seat program that talk about San Juan County, and I appreciate your efforts in trying to get the issues that are really important rural counties out in front of our state leaders and other leaders. So I'm supportive of what you've done, and I hope our commission will be supportive moving forward.
Thank you very much, Bruce. Appreciate those kind words. And we really we really do want to deal with those issues. Particularly, I think San Juan County is probably one of the most critical counties to be engaged in this conversation because you are the most remote from the Wasatch Front, and you have the most land space, and so more issues than most counties. And there are people on the Wasatch Front that really need to understand the unique cultural differences of San Juan County. And we really think we could be and would like to be part of that discussion and try and find a way to help effectively and accurately communicate that. And that's one of the biggest things that we've tried to do through the years is when we take on a topic to try and be accurate about it.
Thank you, Mr. Bruce, for the coverage you made in reference to the bus route made or the lack of bus route made in Midtown to Navajo Nation portion of the San Juan County. Still, there's issues regarding maybe a little bit more exposure would be in line to wake up whoever is responsible for the repair and maintenance portion of those roads. I think the agency that you introduced, I don't know if San Juan County can do that, or now the Department of Transportation would be the one to do that. So I would like to express my appreciation. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Gray Eyes. It certainly has been an honor to work with you all during the course of this last year. And I truly appreciate the opportunity to work with San Juan County, and have always, from the time since I was quite a youngster, been very impressed with the culture down there. As a personal story, my family was involved in fostering, and I had a foster sister who's one of my favorite people in life that I stayed in touch with throughout her life, that had come from San Juan County. Her name was Barbara Coho, and it's always been an honor to be involved with you. So thank you. Are there more questions that I can follow up with, Mac? I did resend those proposals. The last page of you are the key kind of covers what we're looking for. And basically, it is the same request level that we made last year.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Well,
thank you all very much.
Go ahead. Is Mr. Booth still on?
Yes, I'm still here, Commissioner Gray Eyes.
You hit the nail on the head. A lot of the method, what they call it, urban areas, people don't really have the understanding of having a Native American being your neighbor. But down here, we are wrestling with those issues, hopefully to educate each other on what kinds of the lifeways of the Native American, and also the cultural forever changing platform that's out there in the dominant society. So maybe that type of exposure or a recommendation would be also in line to the urban areas.
We would very much appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah. I know the there's a lot of Native American in the state of Utah, and the only ones that get the information, the detailed information, are the elected officials at the state level, and also a small portion trickles down to the division or department, program director, and so forth. So none of that detailed information is shared. I know the Utah Navajo Trust Fund account, and also the what do they call it? Revitalization Trust Fund. Those are connected to economic development program up at the state level, but not to other economic and community development, but not to other division like public safety, and transportation, and so forth. Appreciate to spread the knowledge, and hopefully get some piece of understanding. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to present to you today.
Yes. We're off to business action. Do we have any other?
So no, that's all. That's all the items that we have under recognition. So now we're on item 5. So 5A is a consideration of a purchase agreement with APCO Institute for training and certification software for the 911 dispatch system. This one will be presented by Marcia. Marcia Shumway, she's with the sheriff's office. Both this item and the next item are both hers.
Okay. Marcia, you're on. Hello.
Hoping she's here. She's on mute. So Marcia, are you there? So you have to unmute yourself. I see her logged in. Let me see if I can get her on her cell phone.
Can you hear me now?
Got it. I can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, sorry about that. So what the proposal is for us to purchase the APCO and telecom software. It's for our dispatch center, and it will enhance our 911 call taking with our dispatchers, and it will interface with our Spillman, which is our CAD program, our computer aided dispatch. And with that, it allows us to train all of our dispatchers to be not only EMD certified, but it will also do fire and police. Currently, right now, when we send our employees to EMD training, it is specifically only for medical. What this software program will do, it allows us to certify our dispatchers in all 3 disciplines. And it's a software program that during their call taking is customizable to all of our protocols. So when they're taking that 911 call, everything is pretty much right there electronically, hands-free. I guess not necessarily hands-free, but it's all electronic where everything goes hand in hand, and every information will automatically go into the call itself. These are things that will fit into the UCA standards and guidelines, so that will bring us up to par with their standards and guidelines as well.
And I believe this will be, the funding will be paid for out of the CARES Act.
That's correct. So that contract amount on there is $28,532.45. And like she had mentioned, this is being paid out of the CARES Act funds for communication. It gets us up to that next level, especially as you have pandemics like this. They will write the script and everything for you, which is medically approved. So it gets us up to that next level. Actually, it gets us back to where we should be.
Correct.
Will the future costs look like about 10,000? Will those also be paid for by the CARES Act?
I believe that that's something that we'll put into our budget. Those will be maintenance costs. We will always have the cost of the recertification for the dispatchers. And that's something that we'll have to implement into our budget every year.
So that's an ongoing cost of approximately 10,000.
Let's see, 10.
I believe that it won't be. I believe that it's going to be.
It's right there on there.
4,500, 5,000.
Let me see if I can get it.
That is for additional training. That 4,500 is for additional training, and then the 5,000 is if we happen to expand our dispatch center and need to put that on another position. And I believe the ongoing cost with APCO is going to be approximately $2,000 the yearly maintenance, and the the second year maintenance for the Spillman interface is going to be just shy of $1,100 a year.
So those are optional costs.
Okay, Commissioner Gray Eyes, I would make a motion that we approve this request.
Okay, motion recognized, and I'll second.
Yes.
Any other question?
Please.
I'm back on screen.
Okay.
So with that, call for the question. If there's no other comment, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No response, so 2 in favor, 0 opposed.
Hey, Garrett,
Motion carries.
What's the number to call for the Zoom today?
Next item, Mr. McDonald.
Well, I'm looking.
The next item is the consideration of a purchase agreement with Motorola Solutions in telecom. This is the Spillman interface that's required for the APCO system as well. So this contract amount here is for $9,424.68.
Make a motion to approve.
Future years, your second year maintenance total is $1.
Call for the question. If there's no comment, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Issue passed 2-0.
Thank you, Marcia. Okay, the next item on the agenda is consideration of a contract between San Juan County Public Health Department for tobacco. Department for a tobacco contract. The years on here is fiscal year 21 through fiscal year 25 with the Utah Department of Health. This is Kirk who will present this item. Kirk, you?
Yep. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
All right. So we have traditionally contracted with the state Department of Health to do tobacco prevention services. This is essentially a continuation of that, but there was a new law that was passed in this previously this year that went into effect in July. And so there are two new components to this. So the main component is for us to do tobacco prevention and coordinate with schools, et cetera, to try to prevent tobacco use because that saves lives long term. The new piece to this is twofold. The first is $54,000 a year for us to enforce electronic cigarette. Basically to enforce electronic cigarettes and vaping liquids, to visit any stores that sell those products and ensure that our appropriate safety precautions and labeling is correct. And then there's also an issue grants to community organizations, government agencies, or education agencies to focus on preventing or curbing substance abuse or preventing tobacco startups. So that's kind of a new piece to this one. We will be getting $80,000 that will be passing through to other local organizations for tobacco prevention. That's probably all I have. Are there any questions about that tobacco contract?
Motion to approve, Commissioner Gray Eyes.
Okay. Call for the question. There being none, so it passes. 2 in favor, 0 opposed. Thank you, Mr. Ben.
Thank you, Commissioners. I think I'm the next item as well.
Okay, continue.
So the next item is a consideration of a contract. Make sure I've got the right one here. This is the FY17 Early Childhood Utah Funding Amendment 6. This is for Office of Home Visiting. This is for home visiting that we do. I actually have 2 contracts up for consideration today. They're both related to home visiting, but we have 2 different funding sources that contribute to our home visiting efforts. This first one, I think this is the last year. We will see if we're able to continue funding in another 5-year cycle, but this was the last year of a 5-year cycle. This would be giving us $55,000 to continue to do the home visiting that we are currently doing. That is focused on visiting with pregnant moms and mothers with children under age 6, primarily individuals living in poverty, to help prevent issues associated with poverty and intergenerational poverty primarily.
Recognize. I'll second the motion. Is there any dollar amount in this packet?
The dollar amount on the Office of Home Visiting FY 2017 Early Childhood Funding was $55,000 for this year. The amount that was in the previous, for the 4th year, was $182,000. They're increasing the funding by $55,000 for this year. So the total funding in that contract is $237,000. We've basically already spent or expended the first $180,000. So it was an additional $55,000 for this coming year funding.
What year are we in?
This is the last year of the 5-year contract.
Okay. All right. Any other question? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye also. Opposed, nay. There being none, motion passed.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'm also the next item. The next item is our contract. It's called the Local Health Department WIC program, San Juan Amendment 1. This is just an amendment to a contract we signed earlier in the year. they've done some finalization of some funding amounts, and they're adding $2,000 in federal funds to our existing contract. The amount that we agreed to earlier in the year was $130,000 for the year. The final total is now $132,817. There are no real amendments to the terms of the contract other than the funding changes. Do you have any questions on that one?
No question? Motion?
Motion.
Is there a second to the motion?
Yeah, I'll second it if you made the motion.
Okay. All right. No other question? With that, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. 2 in favor, 0 opposed. Motion passed. Next one is...
I think that's also me.
Man, you're getting famous here.
Yeah.
It's a bit.
This will be my final one, and then you can move on to the next person. But this is a contract. This is our FY 2020 nurse home visiting San Juan County Health Department contract. This is also continuation, but this is renewed year to year, unlike the other home visiting contract, which is in year 5 of a 5-year agreement. So this one is renewing our contract for the service period of July 1st, 2020 through June 30th of 2021. We will be reimbursed up to $50,000 to do our home visiting with qualified families. Again, that's they have to have children under age 6 and are pregnant, and we're focused on meeting with persons living at or near poverty.
Motion to approve.
Second the motion. Any question? There be none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. 2 in favor, 0 opposed. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Bench.
Thank you, commissioners. Have a good day.
You too. Okay, next.
Okay,
Cooperative agency agreement.
this one here is the consideration and approval of the cooperating agency agreement with San Juan County and the Aeronautical Operations Division of the state of Utah. Utah Department of Transportation for the Halls Crossing Airport Project, AIP-16 rehab for runway 119 and reconstruction of runway 119. This is the lighting design and construction management project. For the last couple of commission meetings, you've seen this from you last week, or last commission meeting. You had approved the actual FFA document. Now it's time to approve the state of Utah agreement. They're the pass-through of these funds, and so because of that, we've just got to have the cooperating agency agreement with the state of Utah to receive the FAA funds. So this is more procedural with this agreement than anything else. Just
motion to approve.
Okay. Motion made by Mr. Adams. I second. Any question? It's been project has been ongoing or discussion.
This has.
So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. Aye also. 2 in favor, 0 opposed. Motion carries. Next.
This next one here is the resolution. Let me get to it in my tabs. Have it in the packet. Just a second. Let me flip to it. Okay, this one here is the resolution supporting the
Right, go ahead.
So you got it. We're on item H. Okay, so basically House Bill 3. What was it? Let me see if make sure I get this correct. House Bill 359 was something that was passed kind of at the last minute with this last legislative session. Didn't have any debate or really public input, chance for public hearings or anything with this. When it was passed, several counties noticed that it took out annexation approval or consent by the counties. And so it kind of created an opportunity for a city to go in and grab land in a county, incorporate it into their city without having the consent of the county. So typically, you'll have county, it used to be in the law that you had to have counties consent to do so. What has recently transpired is where a city that was in another county went in and annexed to their city a portion of another county's land. And in doing so, they didn't have to get the consent of the county because of the language that was written within that current law. So we're asking support as the legislators meet here on August 20th that they repeal House Bill 359 and the language that was in that original bill and fix the language. And they've done so in modifications to House Bill 6007, which is now will now be heard in the special session on the 20th. And so in that language, they've struck out the language that was original to House Bill 359 and made it so that cities there, in fact, did have to approach the county, and the counties, they would have to work through the counties and get their agreement before annexation. And so this is to fix some errors that were made kind of at that last minute, that last section. Listening to the Utah Association of Counties, this is something that several counties, they weren't aware of, the changes that took place, but there's several counties like us that are very concerned if they were to keep the existing language in House Bill 359. And so everybody's working in a concerted effort to repeal it and modify language. Any questions?
Motion to approve.
Okay, recognize Mr. Adams. Motion to approve. Second. I would second that motion. Any other question? If there's no question or comments, then call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye also. Opposed? 2 ayes. No nays, so pass. Next would be H, or I guess.
So on here you have subdivision for approval for the Flatiron Mexico Ranch Phase 25 by Scott. Scott, are you? It says Scott just left the meeting. So, let me see. Scott may be coming up here. Oh, there's Scott.
He's coming.
So Scott, you
Bert.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so the The subdivision is for it's actually Flatiron Mesa. I think there was just a little typo there on the name, but it's the Flatiron Mesa Ranch subdivision, and this is phase 25. It's just a one lot phase. This is the way the developer has done this subdivision. He's kind of just phasing it at one lot at a time. The lot is little over 9 acres. So still a fairly large parcel of land, just in Flatiron Mesa. So fairly straightforward.
Okay.
Do you have any questions or anything? The one question I had is just for the signature with Commissioner Maryboy's not present today. Do we have, I guess, permission for Commissioner Adams to sign, or for us to use Commissioner Maryboy's signature? I guess would be needed with your approval of this.
So without Commissioner Maryboy being on here, I couldn't authorize his. He has to authorize his.
Right.
Commissioner Graz, are you okay with Commissioner Adams signing that plat?
Yes.
Okay.
Motion to approve the request.
Second. Any other question with the directive to have Mr. Adams sign the document? So with that, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye also. Opposed, nay. 2 in favor, 0 opposed. Motion carries.
Okay. Thank you, commissioners.
Next, public hearing.
Okay, this one here is public hearing to solicit public comments, written or oral, on mid-year adjustments to the 2020 general fund and related budgets. We'll have our clerk auditor, John David, can present the budget, and then we would need you commissioners first to open it up for the public hearing, have him present, and then we'll solicit public input after his presentation, so everybody kind of knows what the changes are about. Does that make sense?
Okay, I'll make a motion. We go into public hearing to consider adjustments to the 2020 budget.
Motion made by Mr. Adams. I will go ahead and second to regarding, and also, I guess, public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay. We are in public hearing session. Any comments?
We'll have him go through and describe the budget and the budget changes, and then we'll take public comments after his analysis.
Okay. Okay, commissioners, thank you for letting me be on. We wanted to go through, we're over halfway through the year now. We wanted to go through and kind of reevaluate the budget, where we were at with it, given that there have been some changes that are being that have been made since the budget was approved last year. The budget last year included a property tax increase, which has since been not taken. Obviously, the coronavirus happened, affecting businesses and travel, things like that. And so the county has received CARES Act funds, which we need to account for. And we also went through the budget to look at where expenses could be reduced since the tax increase was not being taken. And I have a sheet outlining the adjustments for each fund, revenue and expenses that I can go over. In the general fund, the approved 2020 budget was $14,848,652. We have adjusted that revenue by $488,321, so that a revised budget would be $15,291,973. That is an increase overall from what was approved prior, mainly due to funds received for the CARES Act and grants from emergency services and contributions from other funds. The B Road Fund, the revenue on the 2020 budget there was $5,227,923. We did not suggest any adjustments to that, to the revenue in the B Road Fund. The MBA Fund, the approved revenue for 2020 was $1,362,500, and in that case, we also did not approve or we did not suggest any adjustments to the revenue in that fund. The Public Health Fund, the approved 2020 revenue was $1,449,576, and going through public health, we made recommendations to decrease the revenue by $89,856. So the new revenue, anticipated revenue, would be $1,359,720. That decrease came from the reduction of the property tax, the increase that was not taken. There is an increase, not overall, but an increase in the revenue from other funds to decrease the budget deficit that exists. In the EMS fund, the approved revenue in that fund was $726,481, and after going through the budget and seeing what revenue has come in, we recommend that the revised revenue be made in the amount of $552,031. So the revenue would be $1,278,512. The increase in revenue for EMS came from grant money, which was received from CIB as a reimbursement for ambulances that were purchased last year. So that money is coming in this year. The road capital fund, the budgeted revenue for road capital was $105,000, and after the sale of some equipment, the revenue was adjusted to $645,000, which is a difference of $540,000. The landfill fund, their budgeted revenue was $663,798, and we didn't recommend any adjustments to the revenue at this point for the landfill. Tort liability fund, the budgeted revenue for that was $240,000, and we recommend an additional $12,000 from other funds to bring that proposed revenue for the year to $252,000. With the tax stability fund, the budgeted revenue from interest to that fund was $135,000, and no adjustments were recommended at this time. The library fund, their budgeted revenue for 2020 was $555,753, and we recommend that revenue be decreased to $450,650. That decrease in revenue is due to the property tax increase not being taken of $132,280, but there was a slight increase in unanticipated revenue from grants and fees to the library, so that the net effect of the adjustment is a negative $105,103. So those are adjustments to revenue that we suggest be made. As far as expenses, in the general fund, the anticipated expenses were $14,848,652, and the overall expenses we anticipate to increase by $515,259. So the total anticipated expenses will be $15,363,911. That's an overall increase, mostly due to the CARES Act funds that were received. We anticipate that those will be expensed out. We did make many decreases in spending throughout the budget in travel expense, professional and technical services, employee education, contracts, and things of that nature to the different departments to kind of bring spending down, because the tax increase was not taken this year. For the B road, those expenses that were approved in 2020 were $7,216,890, and we didn't recommend any adjustments be made. For the MBA fund, those expenses were $1,362,500, and we recommend a change of $126,933 and increased expenses to a total of $1,489,433. That adjustment was due to a payment that was mistakenly being taken out of the general fund when it should have been taken out of the MBA fund. Public health fund, those budgeted expenses for 2020 were $1,176,442, and we don't recommend any adjustments to that. The road capital fund, there were original expenses of $50,463, and we are requesting that additional expenses of $1,569,000 be added to that to make a total expense of $1,619,463. The expenses that we're requesting from that fund are an increase in expenses were due to the sale of equipment that was not budgeted for, and also transfer to the general fund to help with the balance there, and also a loan amount, which was discussed in the previous commission meeting, to the Spanish Valley Special Service District, which will be paid over the next few years. In the landfill fund, expenses were anticipated for 2020 were $1,225,927. And after review, we recommend that there will be a reduction in those expenses of $182,000 for total expenses to be $1,043,927. For the tort liability fund, for 2020, we're anticipated to be $250,000, and no adjustments are recommended.
No, he's talking to this.
In the tax liability fund, original expenses were anticipated to be $135,000, which was interest that would be transferred to the general fund. We recommend additional expenses of $485,000 to be transferred to the general fund. That was interest that had previously not been transferred to the general fund from the tax stability fund to get the fund balance to the appropriate level, because it was over balancing over what it should have been. And last of all, the library fund, their expenses were anticipated to be $574,125, and the revised and the requested new expenses be $505,024. That's a reduction of $69,101, and that was due to the library not taking the tax increase that was anticipated, as well as going through their fund and reducing expenses. That in other ways also having to do with building expenses, travel expenses, improvements, employee education. So if there are any questions or comments.
Will we be receiving those adjustment on hard copies?
I believe the adjustments that were recommended they should be in your packets. If not, we can send them out for sure.
Yeah, I don't have a copy of those adjustments.
In the packet, Commissioner, they were in towards the end.
Oh, okay.
Packet. I was gonna pull them up, but let me see if it'll work now. So you should see on their screen, maybe the computer's bouncing back and forth on my Adobe, so it won't show you a clear picture like it was doing earlier. For some reason, it's blinking at me on my side of it, but they are part of your packet. Including in that is an overall accounting of all of the adjustments, whether they were increases to the account, and we apologize because of the font. Fonts, when you look at bigger budgets, fonts always seem to get smaller, which is normal. To try to capture everything. But in your packet, there's a kind of a Schedule B of the 2020 budget adjustments for each and every line item. So he gave you the summary on there. But yeah, you should have that. It was also, those items were also listed on the public notice website. So we had the public have an opportunity to look at those before the meeting as well.
Okay. As I understand, there's 3 columns, right?
Yes. There's 3 columns.
The first column is the original amount of budget.
Yes.
The second column is the adjusted amount.
Yes.
And the last is the total amount for after readjustment. Is that my understanding?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Great. Then I should be able to look at it. Thank you.
So, well, another thing that kind of forgot to mention, one of the expenses in there is an increase in expenses to the sheriff's office department, and that is due to the state of Utah making a change in the percentage. The percentage amount that is contributed to Tier 2 employees who are in public safety. That amount was 25.83%. 23.13%, and they're mandating that amount be a 28.10%. The employer, the employer has the option to pay for 25.83% of that increase, and then let the employee pay for the other 2.27%, or the employer, which would be the county, can assume the cost of the entire increase. And this is only for Tier 2 employees. The county, let's see, we have employees that fall under Tier 2 for public safety. If the county were to assume that increase completely, that would be an additional $34,790 a year, and then obviously in ongoing budgets that would be budgeted in. If the county wanted to, and that's an increase of $18,900 from what's being contributed before. If the county wanted the employee to contribute 2.27%, that cost to the 17 employees would be $15,890. So the state needs us to tell them if the county is going to be paying 28.10% or if the county is going to split that with the employees and have the county pay 25.83% and the employees 2.27%. Clear as mud.
So in the budget, we've included that $34,790, anticipating
correct.
You're taking that.
The county is going to assume the full
amount. So if not, if it's your desire to only pay a portion of that and have the employees, the sheriff's employees that are on tier 2 retirement plan pay out of pocket that 2.27%. This is a legislative mandate. The legislators changed this in Senate Bill 129 and then Senate Bill 56 that mandated these changes where the employer takes on 2.27% or the employee taking on 2.27 and the employer taking on more of that, or the employer can select to take 100% of that and not have the employees take and pay a portion of the 2.27. With that, commissioners, we turn it over to you to open it up to the public for any comments.
Okay. Well, go ahead and comment. Anyone?
Okay, looks like everybody's on mute right now, so if you'd like to make a comment on the budget changes, specifically, unmute yourself and state your name, your address.
I'd like to make a comment. It's actually more of a question. This is Monette Clark. Can you hear me?
You got it, yes.
Okay. I'm just wondering if the clerk can tell us how much we've received in CARES funds overall that the county has gotten. I know that's been distributed to different departments, but I'm just wonder how much we've been benefited by the CARES fund.
As of right now, we received $737,050.
That's the CARES Act.
That's the CARES Act.
We've had increases to other funds in here, whether it's the library, aging and adult services, health department, all of those funds have seen increases to their budgets as well, which are incorporated in these changes as well. But
right, sorry, that was just for the general fund. That didn't include any grants or anything that was received to other funds. I think you're on mute. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I'm just curious as to how much the county has been benefited overall by grants and CARES funds and all the other things that have come in to help. I know there's been federal and state assistance. I think the public would be interested to know that.
And we could probably create something that gives a breakdown of that. Mm-hmm. I believe in the next. Well, I'm not sure when. I think it'll be soon. I think the county will receive additional CARES Act funds also. We just haven't received them yet.
Well, thank you. I guess the end of the year will be where we can find out the total amount.
Absolutely right. At the end of the year, we'll go through and go through this again, with what actually happened.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Any other comment?
Well, that's it right there.
No other comment. Do we exit?
You do have to close the public.
I make a motion, we come out of public hearing.
Okay.
One thing, Commissioner, I do want to just recognize.
The motion.
Can you hear me? Just now that we're closed out of public hearing, I just do want to recognize all of our staff, our department heads, and elected officials as well that have gone through and scrubbed their budgets looking for opportunities to reduce their operation budgets on here so that so it wasn't as difficult to try to come up with not only shortfalls but to make all this budget process happen, which is kind of why we're bringing back this next or in mid-year, just knowing that everybody on here, and as you go through that list of the line item budget changes, everybody took a hit from their budget. We've got budget reductions from the attorneys all the way through to each department, significant budget reductions in everybody. But I just wanted to at least throw out a thank you to our staff and their willingness to go through and find ways, kind of tip over the rocks to see if there's any hidden change that they were willing to give up, and everybody was, and so something greatly appreciated. Other than that, so the next item on here is the consideration for adoption of the resolution adopting the mid-year adjustments for the 2020 San Juan County General Fund and related budgets.
I make a motion that we adopt the mid-year budget adjustments.
Are you there, Commissioner Gray-Eyes? Let's see, Commissioner Gray-Eyes, are you on your phone? Looks like you're frozen. Be just a second, everybody. You guys will be next, yeah. Yep. Welcome back, Commissioner Gray-Eyes. You're on mute on your phone. Commissioner Gray Eyes, can you hear us? Or me? You're on mute. Might have to star 6. There you go.
Yeah. Okay.
Welcome back.
Crazy. Well, we're on number 8. A motion will be in order. And we adjusted budget for the year.
Thank you. You got to make a motion.
Make a motion, we make the budget adjustments as requested.
Okay, I second the motion. Any other comment? There be none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye also. 2. Opposed, nay. Item carried. Next.
Okay, thank you for that. So the next item on here, you have public hearing to consider proposed revisions to the San Juan County Spanish Valley zoning map as approved by the Board of San Juan County Commissioners back on November 19th, 2019. Under this proposal, you have the proposed revisions to that zoning map as approved by the Board of San Juan County Commissioners. So it just repeats itself. This presentation will be made by Walter Bird, our Planning and Zoning Director. Walter, are you on?
Can you hear me?
You got it.
Okay, good afternoon, Commissioners. Just a little background on this request. Back in November of 2019, the current planning and zoning map was adopted by this board, the Board of Commissioners. I think shortly thereafter, it was recognized there were some issues and problems with that map. So a request was made by the commission through MAC to the Planning Commission that revisions needed to be made to the map. So those were brought up in December of 2019 at the Planning Commission meeting. At that time, the Planning Commissioners agreed to look at the map and make some changes. Then after that, we had, I think it was discussed in January, but we had some COVID-related problems, and so it wasn't addressed and really formally passed until June of this last year by the Planning Commission. So they're recommending that we pass the revised map that's in your packet. I don't think it printed out correctly in the packet from what I could see. But the changes that were addressed in the map were changes to the commercial zones to keep that 1,000 foot either side of the highway as commercial zones, and either highway commercial or highway flex, or even there's some CDH designation that's in there. And the reason why there's CDH in there is that those are properties owned by gravel companies and critical infrastructure material companies that need it to stay the same as our old zoning, because there's a state law that won't allow us to change those zones or rezone those areas. There's also A1 zones that also comply, that are also in the critical infrastructure and sand and gravel areas of holdings for those property owners, so they needed to stay A1. So those changes were made on this map. There were some issues with the PC zone, which was put forth and recommended by SITLA. However, when Landmark did the map, they included some smaller parcels of personal property that aren't owned by Sitla that needed to be in the residential designation. So those changes were made to the map as well. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on the map and received comment. They had one of the main commenters was Marlena Huckabee, whose property, if this map is approved, would be in the highway commercial zone. But they have made a promise to her that they would work with her after this map has been passed to alleviate her concerns with being in the highway commercial. So I guess at this time, the Planning Commission has recommended this map, and so I think the proposal today is for the County Commission to affirm that recommendation from the Planning Commission.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we go into a public hearing to receive comment on the recommendations from the Planning and Zoning.
Okay, motion is recognized by Mr. Adams. I will go ahead and second for the public hearing comment.
Can I go first?
We will go ahead and vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. Aye also. Opposed, nay. 2 in favor, 0 opposed. So we're now in the public comment.
Okay, looks like Carolyn wanted to go first. Just state your name and your address, Carolyn. And just a reminder, these are 3 minutes.
Sure. Yeah, thank you. I have a vet appointment at 2:15 for my 2 dogs, so I have to run off. But hello, commissioners and everyone. This is Carolyn Daly from Spanish Valley. This map submitted today, while it does have some necessary changes, in general, it reverts back to zoning as it was in Spanish Valley for years, and is essentially a map that you as commissioners already rejected when you passed the new map in November 2019. While I strongly believe that property owners who previously had commercially zoned property should be able to retain it as commercial, returning to the prior 1,000-foot straight line zone has major problems and is not a good zoning practice. Doing this not only puts existing residential properties into the commercial zone, but it also creates split zone properties. More specifically, existing residential areas on Sunny Acres Lane, Miriam Court, and Rio Grande Drive are being put into the commercial zone, which is not fair to those residents' quality of life. And we are also very upset that our friend Marlene Huckabee's residential property is being turned back into commercial. Not only is she faced with the potential of the Love's truck stop in her yard, but her only protection from the impacts of commercial activity is that a buffer zone would be required if she's between residential and commercial if she's zoned residential. I think if other property owners' personal choices are being honored, so should hers, and she shouldn't have to come back and ask for some kind of special change. Just do it right the first time. In addition, this map makes nearly 25 split zone parcels that will create future problems, while this situation was fixed in the current map and now is being undone. Our current map was already supported by the commissioners and is a balanced, well thought out zoning map, and it should not be so drastically modified prematurely before it's even had a chance to be implemented. I also personally think it's disrespectful of the planning and zoning to bring back a map to you that has already been rejected. And on a note on this, I had a very cordial phone conversation yesterday with our Spanish Valley P&Z representative, Lloyd Wilson, and he was opposed to having split zone parcels and also would like to see Marlene Huckabee remain residential. So I urge the commissioners to send this map back to P&Z and ask them to do a better job with returning properties to the highway commercial zone without including existing residential properties or creating split zones. And I ask you to please help our dear friend Marlene stay residential. Thank you for your consideration of my views and support of us folks in Spanish Valley. I'm done.
Okay, that was perfect timing.
I didn't even take all my 3 minutes this time.
You did now, right there.
Almost. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead and catch your breath.
Yeah, I got a few minutes before I have to leave.
Any other comment?
I'd like to. Am I on? Am I on?
Yes, go ahead. State your name and.
Hi, this is Marlene Huckabee, Sunny Acres, your dear friend. Thank you, commissioners. And this is past nap time. This is way too long. You guys put in too much. I was at that meeting that Walter made reference to on June the 11th. And out of the majority of the commissioners that were there, Leah was in Alaska, they all agreed that I would be able to keep my property residential. And so I hope that everyone will respect that. And like Carolyn said, it seems silly to switch it to commercial, then I have to go apply to have it residential. Can't we just make it residential now, vote on that, or whenever you vote on it, instead of this yo-yo back and forth, and we just keep chewing on the same fat over and over again. I thank you for all the time that you put in. I appreciate the fact that Walter expressed my feelings and that the commissioners had backed me on this. So I feel like everyone is really trying hard to make this map work for everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else?
Anyone else?
This is Monette Clark. I'd like to make a comment.
Okay, go ahead. We got you.
Okay. Good morning, commissioners. Thank you for your service to the county. I basically would like to reiterate what Carolyn said. I think that that you should vote to send the map back to the Planning and Zoning Commission for further work. I think it was always the intent of the commission to make individual adjustments to the zoning map on a case-by-case basis. I am glad that some of the property owners who were in commercial and got zoned out of commercial are now back in commercial, which is what they wanted. The zoning changes always requires individual adjustments, and I just think the process isn't finished. So I think the split zone is a real problem for the 25 parcels, and I basically think that the Planning and Zoning Commission should really consider Landmark's proposals about buffer zones. This is part of the initial reason that the buffer zones were created, in my view. So I want to thank the Planning and Zoning Commission for all the work they've done, Walter Bird, and basically just think we need more of an informal community forum to discuss the entire zoning, the ordinances that are going to be coming before you again for more revisions for planning and zoning that will be coming up, and then the SITLA application. They're all interrelated, and so I hope the commission will keep that in mind and to understand that keep the biggest view possible in mind. Thank you. I'm finished.
Thank you, Mike. Anyone else?
I'll go next if you can hear me.
Yeah, just say your name.
Okay. My name's Ann Austin. I live in Spanish Valley, San Juan County. I really feel like this map represents a good compromise. I think the Planning and Zoning Commission, especially Lloyd Wilson, did a lot of work to reach out to residents, and anybody who has any issues with the current map has had plenty of time to comment and come forward about their problems. Marlene is the one resident who has a special request for her property. And one of the things about living in rural counties is that you have better access to your local government, and that's a real value. So because you are able to be heard and government can be responsive to your needs. So I think it would go a long way if the county would recognize Marlene's wishes to be residential and pass this map. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. Any other comments?
Yeah, Mac, I'd like to make one.
Okay, Elise, go ahead.
Can you hear me? Okay, great. So my name's Elise Erler. I'm with SITLA, and I thank both commissioners for your time today. It's been interesting to see how you deal with technology. It's a challenge. I just have a very brief comment, and I appreciate what Ann Austin had to say. From SITLA's perspective, I think it was appropriate to change the original map with the A1 zoning and the underlying older zoning for the gravel pits. That makes sense. Otherwise, the proposed revisions made to the SITLA property, I won't comment on private property, but on the SITLA property, those changes seem to be reasonable and they're acceptable to us. So I would urge you to approve the map that you have and then before you right now and make any little minor adjustments that need to be made on a case-by-case basis after that. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else?
Hi, my name is Liz Thomas. Is anyone else speaking?
Liz, go ahead, take it away.
My name is Liz Thomas, and I'm a resident of Spanish Valley. And I just want to remind the County Commission that they actually hired Landmark Designs for several years, and Landmark worked for 2 or 3 years, taking input from Spanish Valley residents. And the map that the County Commission adopted in November 2019 was supported overwhelmingly by the Spanish Valley residents who actually live in this area. It's their home. It's a really well-balanced map that Landmark came up with. It has a lot. Understand that when it was voted on in November, there was a few parcels that the commission later realized had been split parcels and told Landmark to go fix them. Landmark did go fix all of the split zone parcels and also made sure that all of the residential areas were kept residential and made a couple tweaks, I think, to the gravel pits, but honestly, that doesn't really matter. The state code's very clear. The gravel pits can continue however local zoning is, so you can zone it whatever. But I think more importantly, what the Planning Commission came back with was just the old map. It just put 1,000 feet on each side of the highway. It created nearly 30 parcels of split zone property that that everyone's going to have to deal with down the road. So what I would suggest is you've got this great map. You've already approved it in November. Keep that map. And if there's individual property owners that feel like they need to be, have their, property rezoned to something, they should come in and do it, but not this big wholesale change of a really good map where you're just basically reverting to a 20-year-old map. So it just seems like you're throwing everything down the drain that you've worked hard for 2 or 3 years to get by reverting back to this map that the Planning Commission has proposed. With just these straight line boundaries for the highway commercial zone. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. Okay, anyone else? Okay, I think the rest on here is just staff. Okay, Commissioner. Turn it back to you to close the public hearing.
I make a motion, we come out of public hearing.
Second the motion. All those in favor, acting the second or closed meeting, say aye. Aye. Also, opposed, nay. They're in favor, 0 opposed. Motion passed. Now we're back on M, I guess.
Correct. Walter, did you have any final comments on that?
I just want to reiterate that this was requested by the commission. These changes were requested by the commission. The planning commission just implemented the changes and then recommended it. There's been a lot of comment that insinuate this has been planning commission driven. They are the ones that made these decisions and changes, but I just want to reiterate it came from the commission itself.
I think with the Marlene concern, because we had, it's very important that we make her whole. So in these adjustments, we want to make sure that we follow proper protocol and procedures with her. And so it was easier to make the adjustments to the residential flex her within that, and then we will apply for those changes for her. So she doesn't have to do anything on our behalf. We'll make sure we get that. There was some concerns really more about things like that will them on that.
Are we still?
Yeah, we're still there.
I would make a motion, we accept the map that has been recommended by the planning and zoning with a recommendation that the map be adjusted to allow Marlene Huckabee's property to remain residential.
There's a motion made by Mr. Adams to accept the proposed map with changes and to a property owner to be to remain as a residential rather than a commercial. The only comment, I'm not going to second it, so we understood that. I think the only thing that I'm concerned with is everything has to be on a voluntary basis. We as commissioners cannot force the change of land status where they are. Those are that have grown roots over the years. So here comes a company that wants to change the profile. I don't agree with that. That would be my position.
Are there adjustments that you're requesting to be made on the map? So we have the commercial portion, which is along the highway.
My position, Mr. McDonald.
Yeah.
Is that everything has to be on a voluntary basis. We can't force what has been established over the years as residential. It's already built, construction's already in place, homes have been established, and here comes a company that will altercate those types of situations unless it's voluntary and collectively.
Correct.
That would change the whole playing field where everybody agrees. I don't want to be sitting way out here somewhere else and make a decision that will negatively impact the people that live there. So I will not pose or second the question, second the motion.
Okay, is there a second motion? If you're at a tie, there's only two of you, then the item will just fail for lack of a majority vote. Just as a reminder, what had happened originally, and the reason we took this back to the Planning Commission to relook at the map was once the referendum was filed, we realized that there were a bunch of businesses or commercial properties who just lost their zoning as commercial. And what you did is we put it into a separate zone, which was the trigger for the referendum. And so we, under your guidance, I took this back to the Planning Commission to have them relook at the map under that request. And so that's what the Planning Commission has done. When we hired Landmark to review this, they created several zones. And on the current map, you can kind of see where originally we had this 1,000-foot swath commercial, which was the old zoning on there. And Landmark had created this highway flex and the commercial flex and then this residential flex zones, which are on there, which kind of helps create a buffer, but it did certainly rezone those. And then looking at the creek systems through there is kind of where the Planning Commission took and made the boundaries through that map. And so that's why we're here making those modifications. So it's kind of up to you overall where we take this. If it fails for lack of a second, then it's up to you. It's just, what do we do next? Is it just revert back to the old map that was approved back November 19th?
The other thing is with the land use committee, when they decided, or if they had questions, did they consult with the Spanish Valley resident?
There were several. Yeah, so they did have public comments that were received during Planning Commission. Every time that they've looked at this, they've had public comments. as well as you kind of heard the comments today as where some have reached out to the Planning Commission members themselves. And so they definitely spoke to them and heard them. Whether or not the commission approves it or sides with them is different. I couldn't answer that. Obviously, where they've recommended changes to you here, for those that have been vocal providing input, it would be opposite of what you've kind of heard today, other than I think Anne felt that this was a good compromise between kind of those Pack Creek residents and where the Planning Commission was taking things. It's kind of what I hear.
Okay. So with that, we end the discussion, or?
Yeah, I'm through discussing. I don't know if there's anybody else. Walter, if you had any final comments or.
No, I don't.
Okay. Public hearing again on the property.
So if we were to go forward on here, we're on item N, which is public hearing to consider petition from property owners in the Deerhaven Park subdivision in LaSalle to vacate a portion of Cottontail Lane. And then I think this is presented by Walter as well.
Yeah, this Park subdivision near LaSalle. The problem is they filed their original plat and...
excuse me. Do we go into public hearing or...
Yeah, you can enter into a public hearing. That's fine.
A motion to either a public hearing for Deerhaven Park subdivision.
Second.
Okay. Any questions? There be none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay? There be none. All those in favor say well. 2 in favor, 0 opposed, and motion passed. So we're in public hearing. Period. Who's in charge there?
Okay, Walter, go ahead.
Okay.
Walter, the bird.
As I was saying, Deerhaven Park subdivision is in LaSalle. When it was formed, I'm not sure exactly when it was formed. It may have been formed in the early 2000s. They created the lots. And as you can see on that plat, you can't really see the county road that comes into it, but it's right in the middle of that plat going directly down. So the original plat showed almost a goalpost type road system where the county road came in and then it branched off on both sides and then went up at a 90-degree angle after that. When they actually got out there and built the road, they didn't stay within the right-of-way. They kind of jogged it around some trees. So as you can see on the left-hand side, there's a kind of a lump in the road there. But that deviates from what's in the plat, and what was put on the plat dedicated that right-of-way to San Juan County. So as it's right now legally, San Juan County has the right-of-way there that is on the flat horizontal. What they're requesting is San Juan County vacate that portion that's on the horizontal plane so that they can rededicate that hump portion to the county to make the original plat, the recommended plat, and the status of the right-of-way congruent. And so the process is they make petition of the commission to do that. Commission holds a public hearing, receives public comment. Generally, if they don't receive negative public comment, if they so wish, can approve the vacation of that road. That's all I have.
Okay. Any comment? No comment received. So we go to exit the public hearing.
Make a motion, we come out of public hearing.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And I will second that. Aye. All those, the two opposed, nay. There's none. Okay. Now going to considering the real McCoy. Mr. Burt.
So yeah, this is it. This is just your final approval for that petition from the property owners in the Deer Haven Park subdivision in LaSalle to vacate a portion of that Cottontail Lane as presented.
That's correct.
I make a motion that we approve to vacate a portion of the Cottontail Lane in the Deer Haven Park subdivision in LaSalle.
I will second that motion. Any comment? There being none, all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We have 2 in favor, 0 opposed. So that takes care of the Cottontail Lane. Chapter in half.
Okay, commissioners, other than that, the final item on your agenda are the commission reports.
Mr. Adams, I'll let you go first.
I have a USIP board meeting in Salt Lake on Thursday. I'll drive up and back the same day, so I don't have to incur any overnight expense. Other than that, I don't have anything further to report.
I too, due to COVID-19, health organization orders and Navajo Nation and the other CDC, not very much going on. So hopefully we are working on a plan to somehow establish some connection, electronic connection for students here at Northtown Community School. So plans are to hook everybody up, probably around 80 to 90 students. So that's about it. Within the county, the Navajo High School, and we as a community school are collaborating on a plan, so we will come out with something. Two heads is better than one, they say. So with that, that will end my comment or report. Thank you very much, Mr. McDonald. While I'm still here at where I have service for connection, I might be able to go ahead and email me these materials that I need to sign, so I can sign them and ship them back to you.
Okay.
If they're coming yet.
I'll send them here within the next 5 minutes.
Okay. Appreciate it. Thank you very much for everybody. Staff and also people from Spanish Valley making comments on their concerns. So appreciate it. Thank you.
Just need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. Motion to adjourn at 2:15. I'll second the motion. Any long discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. 2 in favor, 0 opposed. Hereby adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners. Have a good day.